Sit down, strap in, and Granny put your teeth. Sit down, strap in, and Granny put your teeth in your pocket. Lead Lap Radio powered by HMS Motorsport. The leader in motorsport safety starts now.
Is it really time to start this time?
It's really time to start the show. Lead Lap Radio is on the air, and Lead Lap TV is as well because, well, we are on in both formats. We are live on the Performance Motorsports Network on the radio side, and, of course, live on our new home at twitch.tv on the TV side. And excited about that and looking forward to the show. My name is Tom Baker. I am joined at the table inside the Race Chaser studios here in Mooresville, North Carolina by Jacob Seelman from Speed Sport News, Nick Loden from Nick Loden Racing. We're going to talk to Nick here in a little while. Nick is moving on up this year. He moved up to
Nick.
Something like that.
Loden.
Nickelodeon. Yeah, I'm sure he's heard that once or twice or 8 million times before. Nick will be talking to us about his career, and we'll be doing a little pop quiz. Just kidding. But Nick will be joining us later. Randy Miller is to my left as we sit here in the studio, and over behind the proverbial glass of the production studio, otherwise known as the tech shed, is Murdoch, and Chris will be
providing the cheesy Nickelodeon jokes.
Yes, providing cheesy jokes and jumping in whenever he feels like it. So, okay, we had so many divisions of racing at Chicagoland over the weekend that I feel like they couldn't possibly have squeezed one more in, especially because the race on Sunday night didn't get over with till...
Blame Mother Nature. 9:30.
Late. Yeah.
2 hours ago.
Alex Bowman. Congratulations, Bowman. Finally got the win. And Randy gets to brag because Randy picked him last week.
Which is why I'm wearing my, well, this is a junior shirt, but just for the sake of argument.
It's an 88
Let's
shirt.
pretend it's Bowman's shirt because my Bowman shirt got lost in the mail.
We've got a Sharpie over there. We can easily fix that.
That's true. We can fix that. But congratulations, Alex Bowman. I finally get to pick somebody else now.
Alex wins. I'm going to go round the table here. I'll start with Randy, and we'll move on from there. The first question of the night for the panel. Will this be Alex Bowman's only win of the season? Yes or no?
Nope. He will, once he gets one, he will get many more. So I
many
say
more.
Not many. Okay, by many I mean like at least one more. So we'll say 3. I say he wins one more before the playoffs and one in the playoffs. So 2 more.
By many more I mean at least one.
Yes, 2 more.
Wow. Okay, Jacob. Does he win again or not?
Is this even a question? Of course he wins again. We've been waiting for the floodgates to open, and now they're open. I mean, 3 runner-up finishes told us that that car was ready to win races and the driver was ready to win races. I buy Randy's assertion that he wins at least one more during the regular season. And
many more?
At least one in the playoffs. I could see 3 or 4 for Bowman total this year because I think they proved on Sunday that Chevrolet and Hendrick Motorsports, at the very least, has finally figured out the intermediate program.
Okay, well, that's literally another question for a little bit later. But,
okay.
Nick, you want to jump in on this? Do you have an opinion on whether Alex Bowman wins again or not?
I think he'll win one many more as well.
One many more? See, it's unanimous. He's going to win one many more. Okay, Murdoch. Is he going to win one many more, or is he going to win several many more?
I think he's going to at least win 2.
2 more?
2 more.
Okay. Anyone among us think he goes and wins the championship?
No.
I'm not ready to go that far yet.
No?
Although I will say, Hendrick, looking at the race on Sunday, this was the fastest I think Hendrick has been overall in a long, long time.
Yeah,
I mean, Jimmy led, Bowman led, Byron, did he lead laps on Sunday?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So, and then Chase.
Chase was the only one who didn't lead, I think.
I will say this, though, and I was telling you this earlier today, Tom. I believe Alex Bowman goes to the Final Four. I don't think he wins the championship.
See, I actually agree with that. I think Alex goes to the Final Four, and I would have agreed with it before he won, but I think he's consistent enough. I think he goes to the Final Four. I don't know. I'm not ready to call him a champion yet. I also agree he's going to win at least two more mini features this year, and one of them will likely, at least one, will be in the playoffs. Because I think he's the one that's going to emerge out of the Hendrick camp that's going to keep himself propelling forward. And so I feel like he has the best shot out of the 4 cars at not just making the playoffs, which he already has done, but also running for the championship by being in the Final Four at Homestead.
I don't think he makes the Final Four. I think he goes to the Final 8, but I don't think he makes the Final Four at Homestead unless they really step it up.
See, I don't know if you guys agree or not. I almost feel like Hendrick has gotten better and Penske's kind of dropped off.
I don't think no.
I wouldn't say that.
Not a lot, but I'm starting to see the.
I agree with the first part. I don't agree with the
Hendrick's
second part.
gotten better. Penske's not gone anywhere. All 3 cars were in the top 6 at the end of that race on Sunday.
I think it's just that Hendrick got better, and so we can't all run in the top 3 at the same time. So you see, Penske cars.
They got Jimmy Johnson in the top 10. That's a feat all of its own.
Well, so let's just go ahead and
he led laps.
Let's go ahead and go to the next question.
Can I make a point real quick?
Sure.
Every driver that we, gave our black flag to last Thursday had a good day. Yesterday.
Well, that's why they had a good day.
They listened.
They all listened to the show, and they didn't like the fact that we black flagged them, so they got mad at us and went out and went, okay, hold my beer.
Yeah.
You think we stink, hold my beer. And they all went out and ran like the wind.
Speaking of beer, Alex is doing a pretty good job of holding his.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of beer holding over the course of the last little bit of time here since he picked up the win. But he's entitled to that. So Here we go with the next question. Round the table, what exactly does Alex Bowman's win mean for the overall picture of Hendrick Motorsports? Are they all the way back? Are they most of the way back? Or Alex Bowman just won a race?
I think they're getting back, but I don't think they're back yet. I feel because we all know Alex has been fast, all season long. He's had more runner-up finishes than anybody else, and we knew he was destined to get a victory at some point. Now we just have to figure out when Jimmy and Byron are going to visit victory lane. But like I said, both of those cars were faster than I've ever seen them. In the last year and a half or so. Yesterday. So I feel like whatever they're doing over there, they're doing it right, and they're getting something figured out because all 4 cars are getting faster.
Stop and consider, by the way, that this is about the point in 2017 when Toyota, or either 16 or 17, whichever year Toyota introduced the new Camry, I think it was 17, that they started off kind of sluggish and then got hot about this point and went on to win 14 of the final 18 races or something like that en route to a championship. So it's one of those things where this could be the start of something great, but I've got to see a little bit bigger sample size. If we get through a couple more intermediate, downforce style races, and this speed from the Chevy camp continues to show and they continue to get finishes, I'm willing to say that they're back, but I'm not willing to base it off one really good race, just like I wasn't willing to base it off one really good race when all the Hendrick cars ran well at Texas.
Okay, Chris Murdoch.
I don't think Hendrick as a whole is back. I mean, we've seen the speed from Chase Elliott. Like Jacob said, we knew Alex Bowman was going to get there. William is starting to get there too, but I wouldn't say they're fully back yet, but they're starting to figure their program out.
I thought it was interesting that Alex took a little mini shot at Chad Knaus at Victory Lane because apparently there'd been, and I'm sure it was all in good fun, but it was just interesting that Chad was apparently, so when are you finally going to win? And I'm just kind of shaking my head going, why is Chad bringing up anything about somebody not winning? He hasn't won since Christ was a child. I mean, it's been like, what, 2 years since the 48 team has won, and now he's with the 24.
With the 24,
we have to give him a little bit of a pass, him and William, because they're first year together. But still, so Alex went to Victory Lane. So, dear Chad Knaus, when you going to win something? Because I think Willie's awfully close, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen at Daytona.
He's qualified on the front row 7 times this year. Eventually, that's going to turn into something.
Absolutely.
And we know that Hendrick Motorsports prides themselves on their speedway cars. I'm not going to be surprised at all if we see a Hendrick car on the pole for the final 4th of July race at Daytona coming up this weekend. That's a thing, by the way, that we can talk about.
I wouldn't say
on.
final for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, final's a very final word. I don't think we want to say final. It's the final one for now.
Once you move it, I don't think you move it back.
Well, we'll see, because I'm not sold on the Brickyard on 4th of July. I'm just not. I think that's a terrible idea, honestly. Not quite as bad as Homestead during spring break weekend, but I think it's a terrible idea. I just don't think it's going to draw any better a crowd on July 4th than it did. I think there's better races you could put on July 4th if you're not going to run Daytona there.
Anything in the Midwest on 4th of July weekend, as I've heard people describe about Chicagoland over the years, is going to be hot as hell.
Well, it's not even the temperature. I don't think Indy's that great of a showcase for the Cup cars.
No,
you know what I mean?
Of course not. Because Indianapolis is not a stock car track.
Right, exactly.
This is not news.
For the same reason Pocono's not a stock car track, it's because it's basically built for Indy cars. Both tracks were built for not stock cars.
Because flat tracks are not stock car tracks. They need banking.
That's right.
Well, whatever they did at Chicago on Sunday, they need to do it again, because that was the best race I think I've seen all year long.
Would say, yeah.
Oh, that from start to finish.
We need to complete 12 laps, have it rain for 4 hours, and then go back on the rest of the race. Every year at Chicago.
Yeah. So other than Talladega, that was the best overall Cup race from start to finish I've seen all year.
Yeah. I agree. 100%. Okay, with that, we are going to step aside. When we return, this young man sitting over here to my right at the head of the table is going to talk to us about his favorite subject, himself, and his racing, of course. We'll be back with more Lead Lap Radio, sponsored by HMS Motorsport. The leaders in motorsport. I was waiting to see if one of you would bail me out.
Sorry, I wasn't paying
Leaders in motorsport safety. I gave you an opportunity, and it just went bust. So, sponsored by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. You can find them on the web at hmsmotorsport.com, and we will be right back.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ball in street? Girl in street!
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Here's an important message from RAD and this station.
Hi, this is Bob Sheehan from Blues Traveler for RAD, recording artists against drunk driving. I like to party just as much as the next guy, maybe even more, but the one thing I won't do after I've had a few is get in the car and drive. Don't blow it. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, and so should you.
Automotive technicians and auto service trainees, how would you like to work at the beach and perform for one of the best car care centers in the nation? Louis Meineke is now looking for skilled automotive technicians to join their award-winning team. If you're a gearhead that knows his or her stuff, or a young up-and-comer that has the motivation and drive to succeed, then you need to make this call today. 302-827-2054. Lewis Meineke Car Care Center, located in beautiful Lewis, Delaware, offers a highly competitive compensation plan, great benefits, a flexible schedule, and did we mention that you're going to be working at the beach? Plus, there's a signing bonus for the right candidates. Technicians must be ASE certified and have a minimum of 6 years experience. Beginners advance at your own pace in one of several entry-level positions. But whatever you do, don't wait. These jobs will go fast. Call Tim at 302-827-2054. That's 302-827-2054. Lewis Meineke Car Care Center. Rev up your career.
Hi, I'm Tyler Reddick, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to Lead Lap Radio, presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. You can find them on the web at hmsmotorsport.com. And also want to pay a nod to a couple of other members of our motorsports family here, strutmasters.com. They are the unquestioned expert in suspension systems. If you want a softer ride, whether it's a motorcycle or a car, strutmasters.com is the place to go. They will fix you up right. And also, of course, My Computer Career, which is training for a better life. MyComputerCareer.edu. If you're looking for a change of career, IT may be for you. Free career evaluation test. Go to the website and take the evaluation test. If you think IT is for you, then they've got a good deal for you. The financial aid is available if you're eligible, including the GI Bill. And, of course, they also, after you are prepared to go out into the workforce, they work with hundreds of employers to help you get placed. So there's no reason not to go. My Computer Career, training for a better life. Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman, Nick Loden, who's training for a race this weekend at Caraway Speedway.
That's better than a new career.
Which is better than the new career, but he's trying to have a career in racing. That's the thing. Randy Miller's over here, and Chris Murdoch is over in our tech shed punching buttons and just waiting for Randy to get wise with him again so he can hit the mute button like he did last time. Okay, Nick Loden, welcome to the show. You need to speak. Otherwise, this is going to be a really bad interview.
See, you shut down before the break. Now Nick shut down after the break.
See, Nick, when you're taking cues from us, the shutdown is not a cue that you want to take.
No.
Okay. No.
You know,
so is there anybody in My Computer Career who's ready for a new career?
We're going to try this again. Nick Loden, welcome to the show.
Hey.
We got one. We're doing better.
You got
okay, so what is your background in racing?
I'm starting out in late models this year, and I've raced quarter midgets the past 8 years. I started when I was 6 years old.
Wow.
How old are you?
14.
And you spent 8 years in quarter midget?
Yeah, till I was turned 14.
How many hundreds of races did you run in a quarter midget?
200.
I figured. Jeez. I knew it had to be over how many championships?
I don't even. I have 4 national championships. I don't know the track championships.
That many?
Yeah.
See,
wow.
when I hear stories like this, I just think, what have I done with my life? You know?
A lot less than him, Chris.
Yeah. What have I worked for?
You could have started out being a producer at age 6 if you really wanted to. We could have got you a high chair and a bottle. And
well, see, that's how most kids do it nowadays. You know, you can anybody with a smartphone can have a show, so it's like just hit the button and
just
go.
Just because the phone is smart doesn't mean the person holding it is.
Yeah, exactly. Go YouTube. There's all kinds of that. Okay, so you obviously have had a long career in the quarter midgets. Now you're stepping up to the full-size late models and running it mostly at Caraway, right?
Yeah.
With the 602 Tour, but there's some other tracks, I think, involved. What's the transition been like for you from the quarter midget to the late model? Because usually there's a step in between there, but apparently not for you. You just went from little car to big boy car. What's it been like for you?
Well, I was really nervous at first, and I went out in the first practice session, and after about 10 laps, it actually didn't really feel that different in quarter midgets.
Really?
Yeah, it felt pretty close to the same. I just had to get used to how big the car was, but other than that, it didn't really feel that different.
So the horsepower to weight ratio is much different, though.
Yeah, the quarter midget actually got going a lot quicker.
Well, yeah. I mean, and it's a much quicker steering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there actually are a lot of differences, but you were just able to adapt mentally and physically to the late model pretty quick then.
Yeah.
Did you have trouble with sort of spatial judgment of knowing how far you were off the wall with the bigger car?
Not how far it was off the wall. It was more how far it was off the bottom, because when we went to Caraway for the first time, there's a little curb at the bottom of the track, and at first I was missing it by like 10 feet. Then I tried to get down low, and I was like killing the balance on it. I couldn't. It was harder to tell where the left side of the car was for me than the right side.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. So how many races have you run?
Only one.
Just one?
Yeah.
This is going to be your second this weekend. Talk about that first, because obviously when you're testing by yourself, it's one experience.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about what your first actual racing experience was like in the big car.
Well, I was terrified for when I was like shaking in the car.
Really?
I'd never been on the track with another car, and I was supposed to start second.
Oh boy!
Yeah, and
let's start him on the pole. That's for outside of the pole.
Yeah, and they let me drop to the back on the first lap, so I started last because I didn't know if I didn't feel comfortable, I was gonna ride around. But then I got going, and then after a lap or two, I was like, I passed one car. I was quite a bit faster, and I was like, you know what, I'm ready to go. I wanted to win the race.
Everybody get out of my way now.
Yeah.
That's the same mentality I have when I play NASCAR 3.
Lap or two, I'm good.
I passed one car. I'm good. Let's go.
To the front. Let's go.
Hey, when you do it, it's a lot less expensive than with a real car.
You don't know my temper when I start losing.
So
things get thrown and puppies get hurt, and it's not a good thing.
Puppies get hurt? Come on, Randy.
It's not a good thing.
So did you qualify second?
No, I qualified fifth, and they
inverted
the field. Yeah.
Lucky for you.
That's still pretty good for your first
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. So once you kind of decided, all right, I'm ready to go to the front now, tell us about the rest of it.
Yes, sir. I ran down the next guy because I think I rode around behind the first car I passed for a few laps, and they all pulled away. And I passed that car. I was so proud of myself till I realized that we lapped that car 2 more times in the race. So I realized it wasn't such a big accomplishment after
Shattered the confidence. I passed the car. Oh, here I go. I'm lapping him now 2 laps later.
I'm going fast.
Shattered the confidence.
Yeah, and I caught the next car, and it took me a few laps, so I finally got around him. Then I caught a pack of 3 cars, and they're all trying to pass each other. And every time I'd pull down to pass the guy in front of me, he'd pull down to pass the guy in front of him. I could never get around him. And eventually, I think it was the guy I was behind, or no, the guy in front of him passed the car in front of him, and we freight trained him. So then I stayed there, and then the leaders wrecked, and the second place car went to the back, and he never passed me after that.
Wow.
I just were around there the rest of the race.
So where'd you finish?
6.
Out of how many?
10.
Nice.
Okay.
Well, that's a good job. 6 out of 10 for your first time, especially never having even really been on the track with other cars before.
Yeah. I could have got up higher, but they do the cone rule where you choose where you start.
Oh.
Inside or outside, and my spotter put me on the outside every time, and I didn't do good up there.
A little trouble in the outside groove at Caraway, do you?
Yeah, I came on the radio. I'm like, do I need to give them more room? They're like, you're a car length off of them. And I'm like, oh.
No, you actually need to give them a little less room.
What kind of speed are you guys carrying at that track?
I think around 100.
That's pretty good.
Which is a lot different than quarter midgets.
Yeah.
Are you in the cat?
It feels slower than quarter midgets because quarter midgets we were running 60 miles per hour, but we were running 6-second laps, and late models were running 18-second laps. So it felt a lot slower going down the straightaway.
So do you know how many 14-year-olds would kill to go 100 miles an hour at any place ever? So you're like on the top of the mountain of 14-year-olds right now.
So are you in the category that you enjoy the bigger car and having more motor to work with?
Yeah, I like the bigger car, 1/4 midgets.
You're kind of a small kid physically, so
Yeah.
how did you find the late model to be in terms of just being able to drive the car?
I get a really small seat, pedal extensions.
Yeah, I'm sure there had to be some retrofitting going on.
And wrestle it, I'm sure.
Of course, your dad won a bunch of races and championships in the late models over the years, both up in New York and then down here in North Carolina at Hickory and other places.
You should probably explain who his dad is for those who don't know.
Well, I was going to get there, so I'm just going to finish and then I'll explain. The interesting thing is that I think for those who know who your dad is, Andy Highside Loden,
And
to
now
hear
we're
you
there.
say, I didn't do well on the top at Caraway, my question would be, who was your spotter? Wow.
He just had a moment like I had the other night.
And Tom had earlier.
I know who he my mind just blanked out. I don't know why.
He
It was
had
Tom
another
Buzzy.
shutdown.
Tom Buzzy.
Tom
Okay.
I had another shutdown.
Wow. Okay. So
Gets my computer to where
if you were
dives
watching-
you.
If you were watching the video, you just saw Nick make the funniest face. He was just all wide-eyed, like he had no idea what.
Deer in
was just-
deer in the headlights. Yeah. So
That's the same look you had the first mention he
you
passed.
know this
whenever-
is going to be a cut for re-air
Yes,
and
of
for one
course.
of our short,
Oh, definitely.
short post-show promotions. Yeah. In case you missed it, Nick just kind of locked his brakes up there. So your dad isn't your spotter then?
No.
He's your crew chief?
Crew chief, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm just sitting here thinking, well, gosh, you got a guy with a radio on who knows a lot about running the top. So, maybe you and him could get together before this weekend and kind of talk about that a little bit.
He'll be together a lot.
Yeah. It's going to be important. So you're running Caraway. What other tracks do you know of that you're going to be taking a shot at this year?
I think Ace we're going to run once, and then Hickory we're running twice, and I think there's another race at Caraway after this weekend. I think that's the 5 more that we're going to run.
Good. Yeah, that'll be fun. It's those tracks. Ace is a bull ring, if there ever was one, and Hickory is just a challenging track to drive. But your dad kind of knows what he's doing there. So we're gonna have more with Dick Loden and more about motorsports and just having some fun tonight on Lead Lap Radio, Lead Lap TV, presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety, and we will be right back.
Do you love the sound of high revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety. HMS serves a majority of NASCAR, IndyCar, and IMSA WeatherTech teams, as well as countless SCCA and club-level racers and driving enthusiasts throughout North America. Featuring world-renowned brands like Schubert helmets, Schroep belts, Adidas suits and shoes, Valero fireproof underwear, Lifeline fire systems, and even Racecom radio kits, HMS has the right product for your type of racing and your budget. Their representatives are experts on making your track driving as safe as possible. With locations in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Danvers, Massachusetts, the staff at HMS is always ready to take the time and help you find the right product for your specific safety needs. You have family and friends who care about you, so don't settle for second when it comes to motorsport safety. Just stop in to HMS Motorsport, visit them on their website at hmsmotorsport.com, or send them a message on Facebook. Tell them the folks from Race Chaser Media sent you.
What an awesome game. What's up with your car?
I don't know. It won't start.
How are we getting home?
Chill. My parents signed me up for the roadside assistance from Lewis Meineke. It was free with my oil change. They'd come and get the car started or get us home and tow the car to the shop.
Good to know. With my driving, my parents never know what to expect.
When you join the Meineke Car Care Club with a $35 preferred service, you get 4 free months of roadside assistance, including tire change, battery jump, lockout service, towing, and more. Contact Lewis Meineke, located on Route 1, or call 827-2054.
When do you think of a plumber? Like most people, even if it's an emergency, you can be confident about who will arrive to help you. For quality and reliability, count on someone you can trust. Call on the plumbing services of Hague Quality Water of Maryland. Plumbing doesn't have to be an emergency. We handle all kinds of preventative maintenance too. Hague Quality Water of Maryland is family owned here in Annapolis since 1993. For a refreshing choice, call us at 888-84-WATER or visit us online.
COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, is a lung disease that robs people of their ability to breathe. As many as 24 million Americans suffer from COPD, also known as chronic bronchitis or emphysema, and half of them don't know they have the disease. If you or someone you love is over 35 and has smoked more than 100 cigarettes in their lifetime, visit driveforcopd.org and take the screener, then take that to your doctor. I'm Jeff Stoltz, and I drive for COPD.
Hi, I'm John Holloman, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
Well. Welcome back to Lead Lap Radio, Lead Lap TV, however you want to call it. We give it to you both ways, and you can decide which one you wish to choose. You can watch or listen to us live, and that's pretty cool. We're having some fun talking motorsports, and John Holloman bringing us back out of a break. And I don't know if you guys had the chance to catch the video from Bowman Gray that went around over the last couple days, but Mr. Holloman was once again in the middle of some
again?
Yeah, some trouble at Bowman Gray. This time it was with race cars, not fists, but yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah. It continues to be exciting action up there. It's basically a WWE event on wheels, and you know, if
this is how
somebody
it's been
decides
since
to,
1949.
exactly. So if you haven't seen that, you can go to the Bowman Gray Racing Facebook page, and it's up there. John and another driver had a disagreement multiple times on the track, and yeah, so that happened. Anyway, talking racing, talking NASCAR, and talking with our guest, Nick Loden. Nick, what is the most favorite race that you've ever had in your entire career so far? What race stands out the most?
My first race out of town in a light word formula quarter midget. There was you have to let off in that class. It's one of the faster ones.
You have to lift.
And there was 11 of us at that race, and it was at night, and I think I did win, or I don't know if I won or I either won or got second, but it was I had to be 9, and it was just so fun because it's night, and I started in the back, and there was 11 cars.
I was going to say, in other words, you passed a lot of cars.
Yeah.
Now, for those
where did you go out of town to?
North Georgia.
Okay.
So it was in North Georgia. Where now, for those who are watching or listening to this and don't really know too much about quarter midgets, they run on really, really small tracks, like a 20th of a mile. Basically, half of you probably eat cereal out of bigger bowls than quarter midgets race on.
It's about the size of this room.
Yeah. And you're running, in some cases, you were telling me the other day, 5 and 6 second laps.
Yeah, at like 60, 70 miles an hour.
It's amazing. It's got to be tremendous, though, for car control and reflexes.
Yeah, especially North Georgia is one of the smaller tracks, more banking. So, yeah.
How do you pass on a track like that in a quarter midget running so quickly?
You got to, space yourself out about, 2 or 3 feet from the guy in front of you's bumper, and in the cars you let off on, you just get a run on them, just clip the bottom of the corner and just shoot up right under them and then run them up the track.
It's it's pretty fun stuff, and I've had the chance to spend a lot of time around quarter midgets over the years, and it's a really, really exciting form of racing. I mean, if you've got a quarter midget club near you, just bring the family and go watch. I mean, it's really entertaining. These kids, some of them are as young as 5 or 6 or 7 years old, and they just do an amazing job. You actually got started a little bit late age-wise compared to what most kids do, right? Do I remember that correctly?
I started at 6.
Oh, you started at 6. Okay, so maybe a year. A lot of kids start at 5, so you weren't too far behind. But you've run all over the place, and you guys do a combination of these club-type races like you were just describing, and then now, more recently, starting to do races in parking lots. What's it like to run in a parking lot on kind of a... It's almost like running a street course if you're in an IndyCar or whatever, but it's an oval.
It's not fun. I honestly hated the parking lots. The only reason we went is because it was the national races. The atmosphere of them being at, like, cup tracks and IndyCar races was cool, but other than that, the track is just a flat parking lot, and I hated it.
It's not. I mean, how does it become? I understand that you put tires around it or whatever and make a shape of a track, but how does it literally become a raceable track, or doesn't it?
By the end of the weekend, some of the tracks still just the first time you go out on the track, first practice, it's not even worth going out. You just go out there. In like the slow classes, you just hold it half throttle, let off through the corners, and just kind of just slide around, running like 12-second laps. And it's terrible. And then by the end of the weekend, the track's either pretty close to still being like that, or it has way more grip than it should have, and people are flipping in the corners.
Because the cars are too tight. They haven't loosened the car enough to chase the
track doesn't have banking or anything, and
there's no banking to save you.
Yeah, most the track. There's not many quarter midget tracks that don't have banking. North Carolina is like that, small, no banking, and cars flip a lot. But the parking lots were worse because the kids racing there are national, and they hadn't been to tracks like NCQMA, so they didn't know how to control a biking car. So they'd flip, and I didn't like parking lots
It's
at all.
interesting. I mean, do they put any kind of... Because, I used to race go-karts, and we would go indoors, and run in small, arenas or whatever, and you'd have... We would do what they call Coke syrup-type races, where you'd literally put Coca-Cola syrup on the floor, and it would mix with the rubber and make the grip that would... do they do anything like that for the parking lots? Or
No.
just whatever rubber the tires put down?
The only thing they ever did on the parking lot was they threw Speedy Dry on it because someone got oil on it, and that just made it worse.
I was going to say, that probably wouldn't make it any better.
Yeah.
Chris, you got a question? Or no?
Who do you look up to in racing? Do you have a favorite driver, or, sort of who you look at as I want to be like them?
Besides your dad?
Jeff Gordon. I always looked up to him.
Why?
He was this, I don't know. That's who my dad liked, so I started liking him. I met him once. He's a really nice guy. He was very accomplished in racing. He got in because he was a good driver, and so I always have looked up to him.
He definitely was a good driver.
Yeah.
He was very good. He's a good role model on and off the track, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, if you follow in his footsteps, you too someday may run Hendrick Motorsports.
Yep.
It's kind of,
Somebody has to take over when Gordon
exactly right.
someday,
Might as well be you. I know that you have a number of people who help you out. And so I want to give you a chance to give some shout-outs here. We're not done with it yet, but I just want to make sure we get this in.
My dad, my mom, obviously, my Uncle Mike comes and helps us. Our friend Tyler comes. Our friend Mark will be spotting for me from now on this year. They're the ones who come and help us. My grandparents, AFCO, Longacre, Pro Shocks, RE Suspension.
You just got back from spending some time down in Orlando, Florida, at basically a tool. Was it like a tool?
ISN Tool Dealer Expo.
Yeah, Expo. Yeah, with Ingersoll Rand. What was that like for you?
That was pretty cool. We got a free trip to Florida at a resort down there.
Well,
so.
that's all that matters.
There you go.
But yeah, we gotta bring my car. We got a suit from Ingersoll, wrapped my car with Ingersoll stuff, and brought it down to the show. Put my car in the show, and they gave me hero cards to hand out. A lot of people came to see my car. Got a lot of new followers on social media. So it was pretty cool.
All right, how many cards did you have left at the end of the show?
None.
Dear Ingersoll Rand. Right. You know, I mean, come on. You know, talented young racer. You sponsored him before. Come on. You know, we're going somewhere with this here. But that do you enjoy doing those kinds of things?
Yeah, I like it. I like meeting people and talking to people like that. I enjoy it.
A lot of kids your age are very shy. You're not at all shy. I mean, you lock up once in a while, but you freeze up every now and then. We just have to kind of whack you, but you're not at all shy.
Yeah.
And that works in your favor when you go do those shows. Okay, so tell me about your dad, because I've known your dad since he was maybe a couple of years older than you. What's he like as a racing dad?
He does so much for me. He works on my car, crew chief, driver coaches. He does everything. I mean, I wouldn't be able to race without him.
See, we wanted the real stuff, and you're just not giving us.
Obviously, you're 14 years old, so you're still in school.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite subject? I mean, do you like school? No. No, what 14-year-old kid likes school?
I mean, I do okay at it. But
A's and B's.
A's and B's?
Yeah.
Well,
basically straight
I got
A's,
1B.
right? Yeah.
1B.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can't tell you everything about his life because his autobiography hasn't come out yet. So if he tells you all of it now,
exactly.
there'll
We'll
be a
have to
reason
read
to
the
read
book.
his autobiography later.
I just wanted to say something funny about his dad, but I guess not going to. Do you have a funny story about your dad? No?
Not really, no.
See, he knows better than to go there. The kid's good. I got to give that.
He wants to continue racing.
He wants to actually be able to get in the car on
he
Saturday.
just knows it'll come back on him if he...
Well, yeah, but see, if he tells a funny story about his dad, then we have to bring him back on the show again. That's really... no, you're very lucky because in all seriousness, your dad... not only was he accomplished on the track, but he knows his way around the cars.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of drivers who are just that. They're drivers. But your dad is really, really good at working on them.
Yeah, he does. He can set up the car. He doesn't know how to. He knows tons of people in racing. He can call them up anytime. It's great to have him.
Do you have a most embarrassing moment in a race car? Has there been something that's happened yet that?
Well, in my first race, I was riding behind that guy. I couldn't get around him, right? And I came on the radio, and I was like, man, this guy keeps blocking me. If he don't get out of my way, I'm just going to drive it in there and move him up the track. I'm racing for, 8th. And,
see, because by then, he figured out, man, I got this now. I'm going to the front.
And my dad came on the radio, and he's like, I don't think that's going to work out too well. I'm like, why? And he's like, because you're about 2 car lengths behind him right now. So if you try to drive it in the corner and move him up the track, I don't think it's going to work too well for you. I was like, I'm on his bumper right now. My dad's like, no, you're 1.5 car lengths behind him now.
There's that spatial judgment thing I asked you about earlier. Not sure how close to the bumper you are. Yeah, I'm just going to go in there and move him, just like Dale would do. He's probably twice my size, but doesn't
he was
matter.
15. He was second youngest kid. Yeah, he was 15.
Okay, so you were ready to go at it with a kid.
Yeah, I was ready to move him out of the way. I thought I was right on his bumper. I didn't realize I was that far behind.
He just earned himself another segment to hang around a while. We're gonna take a break. We'll be back with more of Lead Lap right after this.
Everywhere you go, you hear it, and you see it. It's coming at you through your phone, your tablet, and your computer. It's broadcast from your favorite radio station, TV networks, and cable companies. It's in the stadiums, the arenas, the ballparks. It screams for your attention at the mall. It's interactive on Main Street. It's even coming at you from the gas pump at the nearby convenience store. What is it? It's digital content. It's digital content. It's digital content. Somebody has to create it. Somebody has to to manage it. So whether your dream is to write it, design it, create it, call it, produce it, voice it, host it, light it, shoot it, switch it, record it, color correct it, edit it, code it, repurpose it, tweet it, blog it, post it, compress it, upload it, replay it, or make sure it gets to where it's got to go when it's got to get there in the format it's got to be in, you need to attend Carolina School of Broadcasting. The skills you will learn, the experience you will get, and the connections you will make at Carolina School of Broadcasting will open the doors to the career you want in digital content creation and digital content management. Call or come by today. Click csbradiotv.edu.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speeds, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Tyler Dipple, and you're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
Come on, Jacob.
Why are you always scared when he comes back from break? I don't understand.
See, Jacob locks up every time.
Talking about being
Tyler
unplugged.
Dipples, yeah, because one week he actually dippled, and he just.
I regretted it later.
He regretted it later.
That was a bad life choice.
It was actually a great life choice. Someday there's going to be a dippling Jacob just floating across the screen there. At that point, we'll have to teach Nick how to dipple.
We're waiting on him to forget about it so we can actually do it, but he doesn't forget because every time he hears it, it brings back bad memories of days gone by.
Exactly.
He can never forget that.
All right, talking racing here on Lead Lap and dippling, I guess. Tyler Dipple been running in the truck series this year with Young's Motorsports. And, honestly, I feel like that whole team they're starting to get more consistently to the front. And I feel like Tyler in particular he and I think Gus Dean too. Spencer Boyd has had some great races, but then he's had, it's kind of been weird there that I think getting used to the 3-truck full-time team has been difficult over there.
There were some major growing pains, I think, with that operation going to 3 full-time trucks. But you look at, Tyler started 14th, finished 12th in Friday night's truck race. Gus ran in the top 10 at times and ended up getting pinned a lap down late in the race, ended up 15th.
He did, that's right.
What's interesting is Spencer was actually the only truck to lead a lap out of the Young stable on Friday night. Just got, caught the cautions wrong, et cetera, ended up 2 laps down in 17th. But it's not like he didn't have speed.
No.
So,
and that's what's been interesting is I feel like those trucks, all of them really, I mean, Gus had kind of a rough start to the year, but he's gotten better quickly. But I feel like those trucks as a whole have had the speed.
Agreed.
They just haven't always gotten the results.
Oh, I would agree with that to some extent, but I would also still stand by what I said. There's been some major growing pains with them going from basically, 2-ish full-time trucks. I say ish because I don't remember if the second truck last year ran every race or most of them.
I don't think it did. No.
I think it ran most of them, just not all of them.
Yeah.
To 3 full-time trucks every week this year. I mean, that's that's going to be tough for anybody. Not to mention a team like Tyler Young's, who's still running on a bit of a budget. So. but they did well. The team that really impressed me Friday night, as if we're talking trucks for a minute here, really was DJR Crosley. Qualified very well for themselves. Put Anthony Alfredo and Dylan Lupton inside the top 10. Natalie Decker had a decent night finally.
She did. If she hadn't gotten dumped by Todd Gilliland the one time, I think she would have been in much better shape than her finish.
Ankrum was a shoe-in for a top 5 finish if he hadn't sped on pit road during his last pit stop. If not for that, that was a foregone conclusion, I feel like, for a top 5. And Tyler really was frustrated with himself on social media after that one, because he knows his best shot to win and try to crack the playoffs is in that truck.
Yeah.
At least he went the right way on pit road this time.
He did.
Well, the thing is, I mean, even if you look at Anthony Alfredo, I mean, he qualified 6th. He finished 9th. He was just
Alfredo
that
did
team
very
was
well.
fast off the transporter, which was really interesting to see. Do we draw any conclusions at this point in the truck season about? I mean, you look at Ben Rhodes, for example, and it's just, my gosh, another early exit for him. It seems like that team is just snake bit again.
Understatement. I think Ben Rhodes is just perennially snake bit. I want to find him a box of golden horseshoes and just put them in his tailgate to keep forever, because if he has any luck ever, it's bad. It seems like they didn't even get a full lap in the books and the engine let go.
Yeah.
It was off turn 2 the first lap, it was already billowing smoke. And if I'm Ben Rhodes at this point, I'm starting to get pretty nervous, because
I agree.
With Ross Chastain only being a couple points outside the top 20 now, as soon as he breaks in, that puts the 18 of Harrison Burton officially on the outside looking in. With Ben now, if we imply that Chastain is... we'll go ahead and imply that Chastain's going to be in the top 20, because we know he's going to be.
Chastain's going to be in the top 20.
Yeah.
There's no question that Chastain is going to be in the top 20.
Unless he gets DQ'd from now until the start of the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening.
No.
So that puts Ben Rhodes now, after that engine failure, 13 points to the good. And that is not a situation that I would want to be in as a driver who's fighting for my life as far as the playoffs are concerned.
Well,
and he's had absolutely nothing go right lately. A last place finish in trucks. He's only had 5 top 5 finishes in the first 12, and he's had 2 DNFs in the last 4 races. This is not good.
No, it's not good, but I feel like that team is one of those, they're one win away, and I feel like that win could literally come on any track.
Well, the good news is that we're close to going to Kentucky, where Ben is a past winner.
Yep, that's coming up very quickly.
Might even be their next race.
It is.
They're off this week, and then they're on.
That's right.
The 11th of July.
Yeah, that was Ben's good on 1.5-mile tracks. Obviously, it's his home track, no less. And
there's always incentive there.
Kentucky's where he won a year ago to make the playoffs.
Right.
Of course, 2 years ago he had that dramatic win at Las Vegas for his first career win when he held off Christopher Bell. But last year his playoff charge ignited at Kentucky, and maybe that's the spark that he needs. He needs some sort of spark, because the trajectory that team's on right now.
So Brett Moffitt getting a win.
Brett Moffitt did a thing.
Officially.
Yes. Brett Moffitt did a thing and got to celebrate in victory lane with confetti, and it was great. There was no question that the flat white, unsponsored GMS Racing Chevrolet, I never thought I would say that.
I don't get that. I thought that they had.
Can we talk about that for a moment? Because it wasn't just the truck series.
I was getting there.
It was the Xfinity series as well.
Christopher, I'm getting there. Patience, child.
Jeez.
I don't care. Play with your camera all you want. I don't care.
Chris is taking pictures.
Anyway.
If you hear the sound of glass breaking, it's because Chris is trying to take pictures of me.
He's taking pictures for future evidence is what he's doing.
Anyhow,
Missing person.
I don't understand how the defending champion goes into a race without a sponsor. Let's remind ourselves, by the way, that the narrative at Chicago a year ago was Hattori Racing Enterprises wasn't even going to go to Chicago, picked up a sponsor on Tuesday, and made the race on Friday night and went out and won it. This time, Brett Moffitt goes in with no sponsor and goes out and wins it. So the master of racing on a budget continues to impress. He led 72 of 150 laps, and it wasn't that he won a stage, it was just that they played the strategy right to where at the start of the final stage he got out in clean air, and that was the end of that. Literally, start of the last stage, he took the lead, and other than when he made his final pit stop, he did not give up the top spot again, and that truck was the fastest thing on the property when it counted.
It was.
I have to give Brandon Jones credit. You don't just drive from 19th to win stage 1 and then, basically finish second to Brett Moffitt and not have a really good truck. That 51 was a really good truck to come from as far back as he did and run where he did. But there was just no running.
It was the truck that Kyle Busch had won 5 times.
No, I know.
Right, exactly.
There is just no running with Brett Moffitt when Brett gets on a tear like this. And I think the rest of the field ought to be pretty scared that Moffitt's starting to heat up.
Agree.
He's won now 2 of the last 3 races. He finally got to celebrate this one, and he's suddenly the number 1 seed in the playoffs as it sits, because only one of Ross Chastain's 2 wins counts for playoff contention. So this is not good news if I'm anybody aside from Brett Moffitt, because this is the guy who's already figured out how to win a championship, starting to build momentum right going into the playoffs.
Well, yeah, but you know what? The other 2 trucks that I have to look at when you talk about starting to build some momentum, okay, they haven't won yet, but you got Harrison Burton, you got Todd Gilliland, 4th and 6th.
Problem is, the only thing that's going to save those 2 when it comes to the playoffs is winning, and they've only got 4 races left to do it, and one of them you can basically throw out, because I don't see either of those boys winning at Eldora.
Well, yeah. And
well, that's true.
And Todd has joined the Toyota bumper bandwagon because he pretty much drove through Natalie Decker.
I don't want to say that he did that on purpose. I'm not sure he did, but if he didn't, it was certainly an egregious mistake, because
it was.
That was, I mean, she had no chance. He just literally just drove right through her and spun her out. But she recovered nicely, and she ended up with a good finish in 14th, right behind Tyler Ankrum. And I look at that team as a whole at DGR, and you just say,
better.
Man, if we could get a couple of these guys to run whole seasons,
absolutely,
we could be easily talking about a championship run. If Tyler Ankrum was running the whole year in the DGR truck,
which he was originally supposed to, by the way.
I mean, that's one of those, man, I would be heavily thinking that this boy, if he could just get into the playoffs, watch out.
Well, he's got a couple more shots, at least one more shot at Kentucky.
Yep.
And we've watched what he's done on 1.5 miles. His last 2 1/2 races, he came from 4 laps down to finish 3rd at Texas, and should have had a top 5 going away at in the most recent race here at Chicago before the speed. He shot himself in the foot with a speeding penalty.
Yep.
He's close.
Before
it's
we
just
go
a matter
to,
of putting it all together.
Before we go to Xfinity in the next segment, I want to go quickly around the table because we haven't got a lot of time. But Stuart Friesen finishes 3rd. Either one of us buying the fact that Mr. Consistent has a reasonable shot at winning the championship this year in the trucks. Randy?
I don't think he's going to win the championship, but I bet he wins Eldora.
He can't win. Well, here's the deal.
Again, there is that.
You can't win a championship without winning Homestead, and you can't. I don't see him winning Homestead until he wins somewhere else first. And based on the way that 52 team has kept finding ways to lose races or not be good enough to win races, until you got to win one before I'm a believer. And he hadn't done it yet.
A thought on that one or no?
No, I don't think he's going to win the championship.
Okay, I don't see it either. In fact, I'm not, unless he wins Eldora, I'm not sure he gets in the playoffs. He might get in the playoffs just based on points because he's pretty well in points.
He's second to Grant Enfinger
so
in points.
He'll probably point his way in.
That's what consistency will do for you.
Yeah.
Consistency won't get you a title.
Yeah, the math on that really, really fast is unless you have four more drivers, where he is in points right now, you'd have to have 4 more drivers win. 4 different drivers win the next 4 races that are playoff eligible in order to bump Stuart Friesen out, and I don't buy that.
So he'll make the playoffs. I don't see him getting out of the first round unless he goes out and gets a win. And with that, we're going to step aside.
To get Nick Loden to sign the wall.
We do need to get Nick Loden to sign the wall. It's a good idea. And so this is our Wall of Fame. So basically, go ahead and put the headset down, or you can keep it on if you want. You're going to go ahead and just whatever open space you see there, do the old Nick Loden signature.
I'm impressed. See, at his age, they still teach really good cursive. Yeah.
But that's pretty
close.
good. That's
close
actually
enough.
a pretty good signature. Yeah, so there's some pretty famous names on that wall right now. So
and Nick just added himself to it.
Nick just added himself to it. So
when he becomes the president of Hendrick Motorsports, he'll have his
that's
name
exactly right.
down there on the end of the wall.
So again, thanks for coming in, Nick. We had a great time with you. And you're racing at Caraway Speedway this Saturday.
Yep.
So give us your social media. Where can we follow you?
On Instagram and Facebook, it's Nick Loden Racing on each of them.
Instagram and Facebook, Nick Loden, L-O-D-E-N, Nick Loden Racing. Go hit the follow button and have some fun because Nick is definitely a rising young racer just getting his start in the late models, and we're thankful to have been able to introduce him to you this evening. We'll have him on again before the summer's out. With that, we step aside. Lead Lap Radio continues right after this.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Is your job sucking the life out of you? Wake up! You can do something else. Information technology. I know what you're thinking, but I'm not a math and science person. No problem, and no excuses, because it's not rocket science, it's My Computer Career. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. You can start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. mycomputercareer.edu, that's mycomputercareer.edu.
The Performance Motorsports Network is a compilation of shows about motorsports. From technical to controversial to just fun, everything you like about racing and gearhead stuff is right here on one internet channel. The Performance Motorsports Network. Tell your friends about it.
Hi, I'm Reed Sorensen. Racing has been a part of me and my family for as long as I can remember. I had to make tough choices early on to get to the top. It took hard work and dedication. But it's those tough choices that help me prepare for challenges I would face as a cup driver. Make the right choices today and be ready for the challenges tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Hi, I'm Timmy Salamito, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
Timmy Salamito of NASCAR Wheel and Mod Tour fame, bringing us back from the break. Welcome back to Lead Lap Radio and TV. Whether you're watching us on Twitch or listening to us on PMN Radio, or maybe you're actually catching a replay on YouTube, whatever it may be, we're happy to have you with us. Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman, And Randy Miller, along with our special guest Nick Loden, still hanging with us in the Race Chaser studio, and Chris Murdoch back there punching buttons and chiming in as well. Want to go to the Xfinity Series for a couple of reasons. Number one, Cole Custer just flat kicked everybody's butt over the weekend. This race wasn't even close. 4th win of the season for Custer. Round the table question. Yes or no, do we see Cole Custer in the Cup Series in 2020? And if so, where do you think he goes? And I'll start with Randy.
Oh, my Lord. I do think that he will be in Cup in 2020 because I don't really think that he has anything left to prove, especially if he wins the championship this year. He has nothing else left to prove in the Xfinity Series, and I don't know that you don't move him there, even if you have to take somebody out of a car, because if you lose him again, not putting him in Cup, then there's a chance that somebody else is going to come and give him big bucks to go somewhere else in 2021.
Okay, let's be clear.
What? I know what you're going to tell me.
Well, let's let him tell you.
Yeah,
He might surprise us.
I'm going to remind you that when one's father
he's not going to surprise
us. When one's father is the main executive at Stewart-Haas Racing on the NASCAR side, one is not leaving Stewart-Haas Racing.
Okay, so Jacob, you heard Randy. Do you agree, disagree, and try to...
Well...
Does he go to Cup or not?
Yes, he does.
Where does he go?
He goes to an Alliance team. It's going to be the same story as what we've seen right now with the Wood Brothers car being built out of the Penske shop. It'll be an Alliance car built out of Stewart-Haas that just has, another team's number and look.
So technically it's a way for them to have a 5th car without saying there's 5 cars on their team.
Exactly. Which is what they did when he made his Cup Series debut with Rick Ware Racing in the 51 a year, now close to 2 ago.
Is Rick Ware Racing going to be the team, or do you think
I think so, because they've had an alliance with SHR in the past, and they've fielded Fords on the intermediate tracks in the past. So I think it's a logical fit. We've seen Haas on the 51 car before, and I would say that, to me at least, that makes sense. There's a couple of charters over there that are usable, and if you put the Rick Ware nameplate on it, even if it's a car that's being built out of SHR, in a way, I feel like it takes some of the pressure off Cole. It doesn't, there's not that immediate expectation to perform if you're in a car that's got the bona fide Stewart-Haas nameplate on it.
Okay, Murdoch, does he go Alliance? Does he go Cup? Or then if he does he go Alliance, or is somebody leaving?
He's going to Cup, and he'll be in the 14, but it will be changed to 00.
I don't see that.
I don't buy the 14 being changed, by the way.
That's what I'm saying.
That's Tony's number, and Tony will not make that go away.
Couldn't they do the same thing that they did at Hendrick, where they just move cars around so that they can have the 00
there
on
could
there?
be another 14.
Sure, I could see somebody getting shifted out of a. I could see Almirola getting shifted to another car number and the 10 being turned into the 00 before I would see the 14 going away.
Here's my thing, because again, the rumors are only fun if you talk about them. Otherwise, there's no point. But rumors going around that maybe Kyle Larson to the 14 car. Okay, so. Do you buy it or sell it?
I don't buy that as after the speed that Chip Ganassi Racing and Kyle Larson woke up with at Chicagoland. If they keep that going, no, he doesn't leave.
Okay, and if they don't, does he leave?
Maybe. But I gotta ask me again.
Fence sitter.
Ask me again in September when we have a clearer picture of what each team has done going into the playoffs.
Fun. Okay,
hang on. Right at this moment, no, he doesn't leave.
So here's an interesting whatever for you. So Jacob, that's it. So Jacob, you're saying that it'll be a satellite team or whatever, like basically a car built out of the Stewart-Haas stable for Cole Custer.
Yeah.
Is that a good idea, considering the 4 cars they have now aren't even that great on the racetrack, to have another car that they have to keep up with as well? Even though it's going to have Rick Ware's name on it, now you're talking 5 cars out of a stable where 4 cars aren't even performing.
And see,
together, I mean.
At the end of the day, I start to believe that some of this, we're seeing the SHR cars get better. I think some of this comes from the fact that they just didn't pick up the package as quickly as the new package as quickly as JGR
so by the
and Penske
time
did.
2020 comes
I
around,
think by the time 2020, now if we get to the end of the season and they still look like mediocre, bordering on crap, then I would openly question trying to build a fifth car out of and ship it to an alliance team. But if they find the speed that I feel like we believe they're capable of before the end of the year, then I don't think it's an issue.
Because
really
speed is not a consistent thing with Stewart-Haas. Like, you have cars where they're fast for a little while, and then Harvick's kicking his own self in the butt every week because he always has problems. But
he hit the wall.
See, like I said, he's always having problems.
He had a race-winning car. Kevin Harvick should have won that race on Sunday.
The wall didn't do it,
and he hit the wall.
He did it.
He got in his own way. That's why I said last week he's the biggest disappointment.
But I just feel like obviously Cole's dad has a huge responsibility with Stewart-Haas. He's not going to let his kid go over there and run crappy equipment. He's going to want the best of the best for Cole.
I don't think it's crappy, though. I think
If I could see, going back to Tom's rumor about Larson going to Stewart-Haas, if I could see any driver going to Stewart-Haas, I could see Eric Jones going to Stewart-Haas.
See, I don't agree with that, only because Kyle Larson, dirt racing, Tony Stewart, I just...
Kyle's making friends lately because I see him posting on Twitter every week about...
See, I don't buy that because if Tony based his decision off of dirt racing, he'd have more dirt racers on his team, and he's only got Clint Boyer.
Well, for now, we don't know what happens in the future.
I can't judge Clint Boyer. Leaving. I can't say that Clint Boyer's going to leave SHR at the end of the year because none of the SHR cars have ran worth a crap except Harvick.
But that wasn't the point of the rumor. The rumor has nothing to do with performance. It just has to do with, do we buy or sell that Kyle Larson could end up in the 14 car? No. I'm absolutely buying a scenario where Kyle Larson could end up in that car. I think Tony Stewart would love to have Kyle or Chris Bell, which brings me to the subject of the next question, which is Chris Bell. After all the time we've spent, we talk about people on these shows and doggone it, action gets taken. We've been talking about Chris Bell and speculating what he's going to do or not going to do for next year. He goes out and signs with JGR for another year.
1 year.
But
1 year.
Yeah, 1 year.
1 year.
No series mentioned.
Yes.
Jacob Seelman, where do you think Christopher Bell races in 2020 within the Joe Gibbs stable?
Fifth car built out of JGR, shipped to LFR. I've said it from the beginning. He's going
59 in theory,
or 95 and DiBarito gets put in the 59.
You like the Alliance team, don't you?
It's the only thing that makes sense because until somebody says Eric Jones is gone from the 20, I'm not buying that Eric Jones is leaving.
Okay, Murdoch.
If it's 1 year, he's staying in Xfinity for a fourth year and then going to Cup.
Third year.
Yeah,
third year.
Yeah,
third year in Xfinity. Randy?
Jones is out, Bell's in. I'm going to keep saying it until it happens.
Eric Jones.
For the record, Alex Bowman won on Sunday. So, I'm just saying. Look, I like Eric. I mean, Eric and I are good friends. I like Eric a lot. But performance matters. And if you're not performing, I don't care how many races you finish second in, how many races you finish fifth in. If you don't win at the Cup level, you are out. We've seen it with Stu Suarez. It's going to happen with Eric.
Here's why I disagree with you. Last year, at this time, around this time, Chris Bell was making noises about, I don't want to be in Xfinity anymore. I want to go to Cup.
He retracted that statement, by the way.
Then and now where is he? In Xfinity. Okay, so this time I saw an interview with him. I think it was with Pockrass. And he absolutely was doing a really nice job of selling us or himself on how much he loves the Xfinity package, how much he really enjoys racing there, how much he'd be happy to come back and do another year of Xfinity if that's what they wanted him to do.
Reverse psychology, maybe?
Which tells me that he's going to run one more year of Xfinity and somebody's going bye-bye at the end of 2020, And I don't believe for 1 second it's going to be Eric Jones. I believe it's either Denny Hamlin or Martin Truex.
Let's all keep in mind that around this time last year as well, Eric Jones won.
Well,
that's true.
He won at Daytona. Where are we going, by the way?
Daytona.
So,
by the way, as long as Martin Truex Jr. keeps performing the way he's performing, there is no way on this planet he's out at the end of 2021.
I didn't say be out, but I mean the man's not. He could run 3 or 4 more years, 5 more years if he wanted to. All I'm saying is, when I look at who would be most likely to, leave and do something else. It's Denny Hamlin or Martin Truex. We know Kyle Busch is retiring at the end of 2020.
Right.
I mean, and I'm not buying Eric Jones. If he gets an extension, he isn't going anywhere.
What would happen if Kyle moved up to Cup with KBM, and
he would have to dissociate from JGR?
Yeah, that's an interesting.
Because you can't own a team and drive for another team in Cup because of the 4-team cap.
Okay, we gotta.
They'd still be JGR cars.
We gotta step aside for a break. We'll talk more about this around the turn because it's kind of fun stuff to talk about. More of Lead Lap in a moment.
How to be a great dad in 15 seconds. Bike ride, go fish, walk in the park, phone call, milkshake, play catch, picnic, fly a kite, tell jokes, laugh, talk, read a story, tell a story, bumper car, swing set, bowling, pillow fight, cut loose, stay tight. Whew. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Automotive technicians and auto service trainees, how would you like to work at the beach and perform for one of the best car care centers in the nation? Louis Meineke is now looking for skilled automotive technicians to join their award-winning team. If you're a gearhead that knows his or her stuff or a young up-and-comer that has the motivation and drive to succeed, then you need to make this call today. 302-827-2054. Louis Meineke Car Care Center, located in beautiful Lewis, Delaware, offers a highly competitive compensation plan, great benefits, a flexible schedule, and did we mention that you're going to be working at the beach? Plus, there's a signing bonus for the right candidates. Technicians must be ASE certified and have a minimum of 6 years experience. Beginners advance at your own pace in one of several entry-level positions. But whatever you do, don't wait. These jobs will go fast. Call Tim at 302-827-2054. That's 302-827-2054. Louis Meineke Car Care Center. Rev up your career.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right. It's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
How to deal with someone who says that's so gay. Outsmart them.
This party is like so gay. Totally.
Excuse me, but did you ladies know the word gay used to mean happy or excited? Then it became a word used to describe gay people. Then somehow it came to mean dumb or stupid, which is how you just used it, which is not very nice.
Ew, that guy is on the football team and super smart, and he totally hates us now. Totally.
When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off. Learn more at thinkbeforeyouspeak.com.
Hi, I'm Dylan Bassett, and you're listening to Race Talk on Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Welcome back to Lead Lap, radio and TV. I hasten to add Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman, Randy Miller, Nick Loden still chilling with us, talking motorsports, and Chris Burdock over there on the other side of the proverbial glass in our tech shed. Punching buttons for us on both the audio and the video side. And we were talking about Chris Bell before the break and where he might go. And when you look at the Xfinity race over the weekend, Chris did not have a great day. Not that we're attaching that to his future, of course, but just to say that he did not have a really good run at all over the weekend. And when you look at the fact that he was also disqualified, I mean,
I hang on a minute. Let's back up because you're incorrect about he didn't,
I don't think it was a great run for him. I really don't.
He qualified 5th and he finished 3rd. The reason it looked so bad is because Cole Custer was trying to half-track everybody.
But, well, I get that. But I don't think Chris Bell was, he finished 3rd.
He was a 3rd-place car all day behind the 00 and the 12.
I guess that's kind of my point is, Chris Bell, how many wins has he had in Xfinity? When
4.
He goes out and just flat, he was a 3rd-place car, and I never felt like for a moment that he was even in contention.
He was a
3rd-place
car, and wasn't he illegal?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was. It was the same. It was the same issue as Chastain. He was too low.
Too low and too high.
Too low in the front and the right. Well, when you're too low in the front, the right rear is always going to be a little higher than it should be.
Well, but he was too low at both corners in the front, not just one. So that's a little bit of a different situation. But for me, it just didn't feel like Chris Bell, and I feel like he's still at the point where he either dominates the race or he's just okay. He's still got that consistency issue going. I'll just go around the table. Randy, you buying or selling that Chris Bell is a legitimate threat to win the championship this year?
Obviously, he's going to make the playoffs. I'm like you, though, with the consistency thing. Seeing where Cole is, seeing where Tyler is right now, if he doesn't get to their level, he won't win the cup.
So buying or selling?
Sell.
Sell. Yeah. Jacob.
Repeat.
Are you buying or selling that Chris Bell is a legitimate threat to win the championship this year?
Buying it all day, and I'll tell you why. Because he proved on Saturday that he has improved dramatically compared to where he was at this time last year with the ability to run the wall. Remember, this championship comes down to one race. Homestead, Miami, where you have to be good at running the wall to win the race and win the championship. On any given day, the 20 can win a race and thus win the championship.
Murdoch?
See, I can't agree with Jacob's point on, basing his progress off of Saturday. When the car was illegal, and we can't use the same excuse that we used for Ross, saying he's using older parts because it's JGR. They're not using older parts.
That's right.
But we also haven't gotten Chris. We haven't gotten a concrete explanation either yet.
Chris Bell wins the championship because if you think anybody but Tyler Reddick is going to win the championship, you're mistaken.
Well, okay.
Tyler Reddick looked like crap.
Here's the
Saturday.
deal for me. Yeah, Tyler's had a couple of races here lately where he just hasn't been good at all. But I don't care what we don't know. The 20 was illegal, so he got DQ'd. It doesn't make any difference what the specific.
We don't have the same soft spot for him that we did for Ross.
Right. It just is what it is. Here's the deal for me with Chris Bell. I am selling that he's a legitimate threat to win the championship, and last year I picked him to win. And it was because in this year I'm selling it because I don't see the consistent winning speed compared to Tyler Reddick and right now compared to Cole Custer. I believe this is a 2-horse race for the championship until Chris Bell shows me that he can consistently go out and start winning again. I'm saying this is a 2-horse race, and right now my money is on Cole Custer because I think Custer is the one that right now has the momentum. I like Tyler Reddick. Tyler certainly has proven he's the most consistent until the last couple weeks, but I mean, Custer is just every week Custer is in the hunt. And I think Cole Custer down the stretch is the guy to watch. So I'm absolutely selling this right now.
We're 15 races into a 33-race schedule. If you think you can sell the driver who's tied for the series lead in wins through 15 races, you're crazy.
In the season, I'm selling it all day long. And that's not to say in 10 races I won't change.
I will say my sleeper pick strengthened my sleeper pick even more after this Saturday. Michael Annett had a pretty good run.
I love how 3 weeks ago or not even 3 weeks ago after Christopher Bell won Iowa, everybody was sitting here saying, oh, he's the favorite to win the championship.
I never said that.
I never
At
said
no
that.
point did I
I've
say
always
that.
thought Tyler
You
Reddick
might
won.
have said it. I didn't say it. I don't feel like Chris, by and large, is as strong from a week-to-week standpoint as Tyler Reddick and Cole Custer. yes, they've all had their issues, and yes, Chris is tied for most wins, but I'm not seeing it right now. Now, what happens, again, 5-6 weeks from now could be a different story. I didn't ask about later. I asked about right now at this point.
I'm going to
buy or sell.
I'm going to remind you that since April 1st, the only 3 drivers to win in the Xfinity Series are Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, and Cole Custer.
Correct.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Which is why I said I think right now it's a 2-man race. I don't feel like Bell is consistent enough to go out and run the stretch. Now, you remember, you keep saying 33 races or whatever. There's only X number of regular season races left. So I think he's got about 5 or 6 races coming up.
There's
where
11.
He could.
There's 11 races left in the regular season.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
almost half.
So I
We're
think he's got about 5
through.
or 6 races left. 5 or 6 races coming up where I think typically Christopher Bell should be able to establish control of this thing. The problem is he won't, because you've got at least 3 cars, and we're going to Daytona. Michael Annette's going to show back up along with the rest of Junior Motorsports plus 1 or 2 more. And so,
I will say that Tyler Reddick's my favorite to win the championship, but I will say, come Kentucky, Christopher Bell is going to win in Toyota's backyard.
Thank you.
Oh,
now
we'll see.
I'm going to make my quick point here. When you look at the last 6 races, each of the 3 drivers has won 2 of them, and they've alternated. You know, in those sets of 3, you've had a Bell, Reddick, Custer, and a Bell, Reddick, Custer in each of those sets of 3. And even going back to Bristol, Richmond, Talladega, you had a Bell, Reddick, Custer. So they're trading off in sets of 3 weeks here. Each set of 3 weeks, one seems to win a race. That's going to change after Daytona, because we're going into 3 races last year that Christopher Bell swept.
This is
Kentucky,
what I said.
Loudon, and Iowa. He won all 3 of them last year.
The next 5 races, 5 to 6 races, are going to tell a lot of the story about what's going to happen the rest of the season.
Now, Mid-Ohio I'm going to throw out because Bell's never been a good road racer, but there's not, other than Charlotte, there's not a road race when it counts in the playoffs. But Bristol he won a year ago. Darlington he was strong at last year. Indianapolis he was strong at last year. I could see Bell scoring as many as 3 to 5 more wins between now and the playoffs.
Well, you could see it, so could I, but he needs to show me, because at this point I'm just not feeling like the Gibbs the whole Gibbs group really is where I think they ought to be and where they've been in past years. And obviously Brandon Jones, for the most part, has had an absolutely awful year.
Brandon Jones.
And so I just don't see it. I think right now the 00 and the 2 have all the momentum. And I feel like Bell is just hanging on. Yes, he's got tracks coming up he can win at. Let's see if he does. If he does not go to Kentucky and dominate, if he does not run up front and win at Bristol, if you're still seeing Cole Custer and Tyler Reddick going back and forth, and Christopher Bell is not winning, by the time we get out of the next 5 or 6 races, it's not going to happen for him. That's just now. You could go out at Homestead and have a 1-race deal like Reddick did, Reddick did last year after doing virtually nothing in the regular season. But I don't think that's likely. With that, we're going to step aside. When we come back, hey, there was a cup race, and we haven't spent a whole lot of time talking about that, so we're going to do that. Right around the turn, more of Lead Lap coming up.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right. It's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety. HMS serves a majority of NASCAR, IndyCar, and IMSA WeatherTech teams, as well as countless SCCA and club-level racers and driving enthusiasts throughout North America. Featuring world-renowned brands like Schubert helmets, Schroep belts, Adidas suits and shoes, Olero fireproof underwear, Lifeline fire systems, and even Racecom radio kits, HMS has the right product for your type of racing and your budget. Their representatives are experts on making your track driving as safe as possible. With locations in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Danvers, Massachusetts, the staff at HMS is always ready to take the time and help you find the right product for your specific safety needs. You have family and friends who care about you, so don't settle for second when it comes to motorsport safety. Just stop in to HMS Motorsport, visit them on their website at hmsmotorsport.com, or send them a message on Facebook. Tell them the folks from Race Chaser Media sent you.
Hi, this is John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Brandon McReynolds, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
Okay, welcome back to Lead Lap. We've got about 30 minutes or so left. Love the Metallica bringing us back there.
Randy run.
Yeah, Randy, we've changed the
Chinese
changed
fire
a little bit here.
Nick has grown 5 sizes in the last commercial break.
Yeah, during the commercial you missed it, but Randy blew by both of us on the outside and ended up at the head of the table.
I felt like Cole Custer for a moment.
So, you know, he got himself back on the lead lap here. We're going to talk Cup, and we're going to talk. I feel like we could go either way with this. There's way more to talk about, I feel like, with the Chicago race, but I really just want to get to Daytona because, doggone it, Daytona is Daytona. I don't care when they run it. And I feel like we're at a point in the Cup season where we've basically seen a pair of organizations pretty much dominate. But we talked earlier in the show about Hendrick Motorsports and how they've been slowly getting out of their funk, and we really saw them show out, I think, very well last week at Chicagoland. So the question becomes, we're going to Daytona, and you almost always see 2 of the cars, if not all 4 of them, dominate qualifying. I mean, the question becomes, should we be talking about Hendrick Motorsports winning Daytona with the same fervency that we would talk about, Joe Gibbs or Roger Penske, who have dominated the season pretty much up to now? Is Hendrick Motorsports at a point where we need to make them strong favorites?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you why. One Chevy, the philosophy they brought to Talladega, and finally getting the Bowtie Brigade to work together is exactly what Chevy's been missing. We know beyond a shadow of a doubt, if there's one thing that Hendrick Motorsports prides themselves on year after year after year after year after year, it's building strong super speedway race cars for Daytona and Talladega. You mentioned it. We see them rule qualifying year in and year out at these 2 tracks. We see them strong. We saw them strong at Talladega. I believe you'll see them strong at Daytona. I mean, back in February at the 500, we saw them working with Joe Gibbs Racing. I don't think you'll see that again. You'll see the Chevy organizations work together just like we see the Ford organizations and the Toyotas work together. But I believe that the fact that Chevy's finally jumped on the manufacturer bandwagon here, drawing the line in the sand. I think you see a Chevy. I won't guarantee a Hendrick Chevy, but I do believe you see a Chevy win Saturday night.
Well, the question was, is Hendrick a legitimate threat?
Yes,
Your answer is yes.
absolutely.
Okay, Andy?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially after the race on Sunday night with Chicago, seeing all 4 of those cars running up front, running strong. For the first time, I saw speed out of the organization I haven't seen in 2 years, or at least a year and a half from all 4 cars. And seeing Alex Bowman finally visit victory lane and seeing just everybody being happy about Hendrick being where they are right now, they still have some steps to make, but they're definitely on the right track of being back to the Hendrick that we know and love.
Chris, what do you think about Hendrick? Are they a legitimate threat to win Daytona?
Hendrick?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, you got to think how they pride themselves on super speedway speed.
I said that, yeah.
But speed doesn't always win at Daytona.
But working together with your manufacturer does.
Yes, and Hendrick is really good at working together.
And again, I go back to Talladega. We saw the Chevys dominate Talladega because they finally woke up and jumped on the same bandwagon that Ford and Toyota have been using since 2016.
And Chase Elliott got the win.
Interesting. Okay.
My 2 cents to that is, if you're not taking Hendrick as a serious threat going into Daytona, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Well, but the question is, I mean, they showed speed in February, but, that was it. I mean, it's one thing to qualify well, but you got to race well.
And they did race well. They just worked with JGR instead of the other Chevys.
Exactly. And this is going to be a different kind of Daytona, obviously, and we're at a different point in the season. So I do feel like that we should take Hendrick seriously, and I feel like if I had to pick one car that's going to go and totally blow him away at Daytona, it's the guy that just won at Chicagoland. I feel like
Greg Ives is a master of super speedway cars.
I feel like Alex Bowman is poised for a run here.
See, I say right mindset, but I say William Byron goes out and wins Daytona.
See, I'd love to see that. I think that would be a lot of fun. And he, again, qualifying's one thing, but when it comes to racing, it isn't that they all haven't not had speed at times, but it just hasn't translated to results the way they would have liked it to.
I'm going to disagree with both of you. Shocking, I know, right?
What do you mean about the car that wins the race? Okay.
Correct. Because I'm going with the driver that I believe will go into Saturday night treating Daytona as a must-win situation.
Jimmy Johnson.
Absolutely, because I believe the 48 team has to go into Daytona treating it as a must-win situation. They proved they're capable of going to victory lane back in February, even if it was a non-points race. They had speed to go up, and yes, he caused a wreck, but to cause the wreck that took out the rest of the field in the clash, he had to have enough speed to be up at the front in the first place, which is what he did.
Well,
and I believe that he and Kevin Mendering have had enough time to mesh, and they know what they need out of a speedway car. I believe you will see an extremely aggressive Jimmy Johnson, and I believe it will pay off Saturday night.
Interesting. I think, sure, Jimmy could win. I don't think there's any question that he could win. But I just feel like it's Bowman and Byron that really are, kind of knocking. Bowman obviously just won, and I feel like Byron is
my
close.
problem with William is that he's not been able to put a whole race together yet. He's been strong at the beginning, but he's not been able to be strong through an entire race.
Jimmy Johnson hasn't done much better at putting a whole race together. Yeah, he's had some better results. But
Jimmy Johnson is good at, or at least has been better at being stronger at the end of a race, which is a skill that William Byron has not had yet. The good news with Jimmy is he's got 3 top 8 finishes in his last 6 starts, and the interesting thing there is all 3 of those have come on downforce racetracks, which I think is a big statement for this team.
Daytona's not.
I know
by the way.
I know it's not, but he also had a top 10 finish at the 500 in February, and he would have had a top 5. He would have had a top 5 at Talladega if he hadn't had the tire issue and all that drama right at the very beginning.
Interesting. I think Jimmy could win, but I would watch William Byron if Bowman doesn't win.
We're blowing through all of our good lightning round topics.
Oh, I got more. Don't worry. The one point I want to make here is that when you talk about one Chevy and you talk about being encouraged with Chevy as a whole, you look at the Chicagoland race, not only did the Hendrick cars run really well, Kyle Larson showed up.
Yes, he did.
And finished second, and
yes, he did.
That was by far his best effort of the
easily.
year.
Now, the problem with Larson is he's got to make sure the bad luck gremlins don't come back this week like they have at every other restrictor plate race he's run in the past 5 years, because he had issues at the 500 in February. We know what happened on the last lap at Talladega in April. That doesn't need to happen again.
But here's the deal. So you throw Larson in with the 400 cars. Sure. Okay.
Kurt Busch,
of course. Now,
the two JTG cars also, by the way.
37-47. Now, wait a minute. Now we get to Richard Childress racing.
Yes.
Now, here the deal here is, again, they've been able to qualify like the wind.
Yes.
But they've struggled to put a race together. However, we're now going to Daytona where we know that at least the 3-car is,
Well, and the 8-car had plenty of speed in February, too.
So the question then becomes, is Chevy as a manufacturer actually as much a favorite as Toyota? Because I do believe
Toyota's not a favorite anymore because there's only 6 of them. That's the problem. Toyota's disadvantage is the same thing Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin have been preaching at the super speedways the last 2 years. They don't have strength in numbers.
See, I think that
there are 6 Toyotas.
But if you go back to Daytona,
4 JGR cars, Matt DiBenedetto, and Parker Kligerman.
But if you go back to Daytona and look.
See, I feel like Toyota and Ford.
I know they did, but that's only after everybody else wrecked.
Well,
also, isn't this our first?
So you're
Daytona
saying
on
it's
the
Chevy
new package?
versus Ford?
I'm saying it's Chevy versus Ford because I don't believe the Toyotas have a chance unless they can survive all the carnage and everybody else wrecks.
Wow.
Is this our first race with the new super speedway package at Daytona?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
But I don't believe you're going to see a much different race than what we saw in February.
It'll be interesting because that, to me, I was going to get to that in the next round, next segment.
Talladega looked even better than a typical Talladega race.
I'm thinking that because I wanted to kind of set all this up so that we get into the lightning round and you throw out the question of what's the new package going to do, because I sort of feel like Talladega and Daytona are not the same. I mean, they're two different. Yeah, no, they're both super speedways, but they're different tracks, and I feel like that could scramble this a little bit. I feel like there's actually some drivers who we probably wouldn't talk about that are pretty good super speedway racers that with this package, we've seen, for example, Michael McDowell, even on the intermediate tracks, start creeping up.
And keep in mind, McDowell finished 5th at the 500 in February.
Exactly. So I
know
feel
those
like
cars are always threats.
I feel like this Daytona race, because it is the first with the new package, I feel like it's going to be really, really interesting. And I don't know. You can default to stats all you want, but again, you got to look at kind of what's going on.
To stats.
And I don't know if I'm counting Toyota out of this just that easily. I'm sorry.
It almost sounds like Ford and Toyota have forgotten about Chevrolet for a little bit because
this was my point.
Battling between each other that they almost forgot that Chevy was back there, and now Chevy's right there in the mix, and they're like, oh, well, what do we do now?
Here we go, going into Daytona, and Chevy looks like they're hitting on all cylinders right now. This could be interesting. Okay, one more segment of Lead Lap Radio coming up. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this.
When do you think of a plumber? Like most people, even if it's an emergency, you can be confident about who will arrive to help you. For quality and reliability, count on someone you can trust. Call on the plumbing services of Hague Quality Water of Maryland. Plumbing doesn't have to be an emergency. We handle all kinds of preventative maintenance too. Hague Quality Water of Maryland is family owned here in Annapolis since 1993. For a refreshing choice, call us at 888-84-WATER or visit us online.
Here at Lewis Meineke, we're more than just your average car care center. Hey, it's Dave, your neighbor from Lewis Meineke. Whether you need an oil change, brakes, tires, or anything under the hood, we've got you covered. Take advantage of our free check engine light service as well. Yes, free. And don't forget about our free shuttle service. Never stress, we'll take care of the rest. On with life. Give us a call at Lewis Meineke, 302-827-2054.
Is your job sucking the life out of you? Wake up! You can do something else. Information technology. I know what you're thinking, but I'm not a math and science person. No problem and no excuses, because it's not rocket science. It's My Computer Career. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. You can start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. mycomputercareer.edu. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
Do you love the sound of high-revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Matt Tift, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
And welcome back to Lead Lap.
You know, it's funny that he brought us back. It's been 3 years today since he had his brain surgery.
Oh, wow. Is today the third anniversary?
Yeah, no kidding.
Wow.
3 years ago today.
Well, we're huge Matt Tiff fans here, and his story is an incredible story.
And we'll remind ourselves that Front Row Motorsports is capable of going to victory lane on plate tracks.
Yeah, they are, well, on super speedways. I don't know, do we call them plate tracks anymore?
Can't call them. Sorry, we can't call them plate tracks.
They are. I'm not. It's interesting because I feel like Matt has sort of struggled more than the other two cars, and I don't really know exactly why that is. Maybe
it's a rookie versus 5 or 6 years of Cup experience.
But certainly I feel like he has a future in that series, and I would love to see him have a good run at Daytona. I think it'd be great for his confidence.
I think so, for sure.
Okay, dark horse winner for Daytona in the Cup Series. You can only pick one. Jacob.
As if any winner at Daytona is truly a dark horse, because you know,
fair.
You put.
Let's pretend that
you put 40 names in a hat and you pick one. Is literally what.
All
this
right,
comes
I'll
down
rephrase
to.
the question.
Surprise.
Dark horse to get his first win at Daytona.
So you're forcing me to take a first-time winner?
I got
yes,
this.
first-time winner.
Me too.
I've got it easy.
I can't believe that Jacob's taken this long, honestly.
He's doing his research, his stats.
Because what? No.
He's running stats.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not looking at stats. I need the entry
don't look
list.
at the entry list.
Well, here's the deal. William Byron is not who I don't consider William Byron a dark horse anymore.
Okay.
That doesn't count.
So that's fine.
For me?
So who's your dark horse?
Ryan Preece.
That's a really interesting choice right there. And I would have a hard time telling you that it's not a good choice.
I mean, did you see what the man did at the Daytona 500?
Yeah.
He avoided everything with the precision of somebody far
really
beyond his
interesting
years.
choice. Randy, you got a I won't say a better one. You got a different one, or are you going with Priest?
Matt DiBenedetto. Because he
Okay.
finished 4th at Daytona, even though it was a different.
Ding, we have a DiBurrito.
Unless it was a
Fourth
different
at
package
Sonoma.
than. No, he finished. Oh yeah, he was running 4th at Daytona and
Yes,
almost
he was
won the race.
running 4th at Daytona
then-
when he got turned by Paul
Yeah,
Menard.
he got turned by Paul Menard. So. that's my
Okay, Mr. Burdock, are you buying either of those two, or are you going off the board?
Daniel Suarez.
Oh, wow. Okay, I wasn't quite expecting that one, but again, dark horses that have not won a race, and you're going with Suarez. So I figured we'd all agree on DiBenedetto, just because, like Jacob, I don't consider Byron a dark horse. I consider him a favorite. And I feel like the only chance that 95 team has to win a race this year is the rest of the year is going to be at Daytona. I don't think there's any other track where I would
Bristol,
maybe the Roval. I don't see the Glen.
good on short tracks.
I don't see again. I just think there are too many good short track teams. I don't think they match the. But Daytona's a scramble, so I put
and Talladega obviously.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
so
but
we didn't
think we'd say that about him in Sonoma, and he finished 4th. So.
But again, he didn't win.
When we get done with this topic, I have a great lightning round question.
Well, this is the lightning round after all. So
the storm has hit.
I'm agreeing with Randy. Matt DiBenedetto would be my dark horse non-winner. Go ahead, sir.
Because I don't think we've covered this, but we ran into it last Tuesday. Charlotte Motor Speedway.
I was going to say, what did I hit?
Charlotte Motor Speedway adding the new chicane. How much do you think that's going to change?
Well, it's not a new chicane, but they're expanding the bus stop chicane on the backstretch.
Yeah. So your question is what, Chris? I'm sorry.
How much do you think that's going to change the racing at Charlotte Motor Speedway?
Randy?
I feel like it not as much because by the time Sunday rolled around last year, they were able to figure out the chicane. It's the same exact way. It's just that there's no wall there anymore.
But they've also widened the racetrack by about 20 feet.
But that just means you have 3 more feet.
You can't just go full speed through there anymore like they have.
And
you can. I wouldn't advise it.
And see, the big thing for me is with as dramatically as they widened that chicane, I think you'll see
3 wide. 4 wide?
No. Well, they've also the hook turn there is a little bit sharper too, I believe.
That didn't stop Jimmy last year.
My point being is, I actually think it's going to improve the racing a little bit and open that chicane up as a potential passing zone. It was too narrow last year.
I think that's fair. I think it's gonna. I believe it will improve the race. I don't think it will dramatically change the race in terms of. Okay, now who wins or whatever. I don't think it's going to be. It's only just that one part of the track that they changed. So I think if anything, it's another passing zone. Yeah, exactly. So
they should leave it in for the 600.
I did. Awesome. We run the 600 on the Roval. That would be interesting.
No, just leave the chicane part in. Take the road course out and just run the whole oval with the chicane on the backstretch.
Wow. Okay, moving right along. That was a good question though, and we didn't get to touch on that. At all last week, but it definitely is, I think, an interesting improvement. I was hoping they wouldn't do anything to what I would consider significantly change the course, because I think the course being as tight as it is what makes the racing. So I don't want to see it become too easy or too wide or too fast, because then to me, it just ruins what makes the Roval what it is. But I don't think that's going to really affect it in a dramatic enough way to say that it changes the race. I guess the better question would be, do we think that the race is a lot different because everybody's been there once?
It's hard to say. I think it opens it up because people kind of have an understanding of the strategy now that it's going to take to put themselves in position. But I still think it's going to be as chaotic as ever, especially if we get a late race yellow. Let's just hope that Brad Keselowski has learned from last year and does not lead the Army off the cliff again.
See, I thought that was actually kind of a neat part of the race myself, but
his controller disconnected, Randy.
Yep.
You have some experience on the NASCAR.
I do. Yes, but he couldn't hit the reset button because there's no reset button in the
no reset in the real
race.
game. It'll be interesting. I think the Roval's always in its position in the playoffs is different.
It's funny. I hit that wall every time I play NASCAR 3 though. Every time.
Every time.
Every time. Every lap. I always forget to turn left. I just want to keep going straight because it's Charlotte.
Are you like trying to run a road course or something? Or
yes. Yes. I'm just saying. Like,
dial up Watkins Glen next time.
No, it's okay.
Might do better. Okay, so we've got about 7 minutes left here, 6-7 minutes. So I want to switch gears here because we did have an F1 race.
We did.
That wasn't won by Lewis Hamilton.
That wasn't won by Lewis Hamilton.
Or Mercedes, for that matter.
Which is exactly the subject of my question. We finally snuck Red Bull into victory lane.
At their home track,
At their
no
home
less.
track, and Max Verstappen did not, this wasn't like he just cakewalked.
He ran Charles Leclerc down, passed him, and drove off.
And yet, we have, as, that happened, we had another investigation. There's more investigations in Formula One right now than there are in an entire season of CSI.
Or in the government, for that matter.
So it begs the question, are we ever going to see an F1 race again with no outside interference from the stuffy guys that sit up there in race control, and don't want to see any kind of contact or any aggressive driving? We just got to follow each other around the track. Have we lost the actual racing in Formula One? Because every time something's even...
They didn't penalize him for the move, so therefore
So you're saying there's hope?
There's hope, yeah.
There's a chance.
Those are some of the most scenic elementary school playgrounds I've ever seen, though. The way that they race on them. Because it seems like it's a bunch of, high school principals going, okay, don't do that, and you don't. You take your hands off of him.
When I saw the actual issue that they were having, it's like, good grief, those people would come over here to like Martinsville for a late model race. Oh my gosh, they'd all have like coronaries by the end of the race. Like, I don't understand, because honestly, to me, you get a bunch of guys like Leclerc and Verstappen and, Sainz and Gasly. You get all these guys, and you got the veterans. It's like, let them race. If they take each other out, you know what? It's called a wreck. It happens now and then.
Oh, by the way.
Yes.
Sunday meant that Red Bull did what McLaren could never do. Win with a Honda motor.
Yeah.
First Honda motored victory since 2006. That's where I look at. That's where if I'm Red Bull, I'm looking across the way at McLaren and go, see, it's possible. We did it.
Well, but so what conclusion do you draw from that? It's one race and they won. Does it mean anything?
That the sun shines on a dog's butt every once in a while.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Because they've been top 5 speed all year, if not podium speed all year. Honestly, what that tells me is Honda learned everything not to do with McLaren and then figured out what to do, brought it to Red Bull and said, "Here, go win," and they won.
So you're saying that we actually are looking at the fact that McLaren was really, really bad.
Yeah, well, we're looking at Honda having figured out everything not to do and not repeating the same mistakes.
You're saying it wasn't McLaren was bad, Honda was bad. They figured it out and took it to Red Bull.
Red Bull's reaping the benefits of McLaren screwing it up.
It's interesting. I'm just glad to see the kid back in victory lane again. Yeah. I feel like you just, every once in a while, you got to see something besides the Mercedes in victory lane to just keep at least the appearance that there might actually be more than 2 cars capable of winning in F1.
And there are going to be some tracks in the second half of this year where the Ferraris are going to be the favorites, which means that I could envision, before this is over, that we have all 5 of the top 5 drivers in the championship having won at least one race this year, because you've got Hamilton, Bottas, and Verstappen who have won, and I don't believe we go all the way to the end of the year without Leclerc and Vettel both winning at least one race.
So I was going to ask about Leclerc. That was my next question.
Leclerc is absolutely going to win a race this year, and if Sebastian Vettel ever gets out of his own head, he'll win too. Well, he's too talented not to.
Well, I agree. I think Sebastian is a big part of his own problem. However, I also think he's been ripped off once or twice. So Leclerc wins. That's interesting. I know he got second, but...
listen, he should have won Bahrain if not for the power unit failing on him. And if not for a Max Verstappen digging his teeth in, I honestly believe Leclerc probably should have, Leclerc probably should have 2 wins right now, and he doesn't have any. That kid is the real deal. He's extremely motivated now. He is going to win, period.
Real quick, can we get Gasly on a podium? before the year's out.
No.
No?
Well, yeah, all you have to do is bring him over there and set him down on the podium and be like, here you go. You'll never experience this on your own, but here you go. Stay there for 10 seconds.
I don't mean any disrespect here, but what I've seen out of Pierre Gasly this year is that the only way he ends up on a podium is if both Ferraris and both Mercedes wreck.
Wow.
Maybe he needs to pay some money to the investigating people and have them investigate
but
something.
do you feel like it's at least partially that particular team? Because I feel like that team's let him down big time a few times this year.
No, I don't. Verstappen's now proven Red Bull and Honda is a race-winning combination. I believe Pierre Gasly was extremely overhyped.
I'm not going there yet. Okay, Jacob, take us out.
All right, yeah, we're done. Surprisingly, we burned a lot of time, and it was a lot of fun. We want to thank. I know he's not here now, but certainly a thanks to Nick Loden for coming in and joining us for the first half of the show tonight, and also thanks to our partners at HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety, mycomputercareer.edu, training for a better life, and strutmasters.com for everything they do to make what we do at Race Chaser Radio possible. So for Tom Baker, Randy Miller, and Chris Murdoch behind the glass, I'm Jacob Seelman. Keep it off the wall. If you're headed to a racetrack, we might just see you there. Have a safe racing weekend. Good night.
You've been listening to Lead Lap Radio powered by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. You can find them on the web at hmsmotorsport.com. Lead Lap Radio is a Race Chaser Media production. For more exciting and passionate motorsport content, follow Race Chaser Media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and visit racechasermedia.com. The opinions expressed by our guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff, management, affiliates, or marketing partners of Race Chaser Media. No part of the show may be reproduced in any manner without the expressed written consent of Race Chaser Media. Thank you for listening.